Any doubts? Okay, fine. Now let us proceed. Now next what we have is requestDispatcher. Now in real time, whenever you're doing any of the tasks, you perform some operation and you'll have various servlets in chain that will be doing the work. Let's say you are trying to, over here what we have is, we are trying to enter two numbers and then we have to calculate the factorial for that numbers. Now over here, as discussed, you have got request and then the response. And then request.get parameter of number, request.get parameter of number. You're retrieving these two numbers. Number one you have entered is 10, number two what you have entered is 2. And if you see over here, you are retrieving the numbers. You're retrieving this number, number 1 and then number 2. Once you are retrieve the numbers, then you want to share this attribute or you want to share this across servlet. So if you want to share some data between servlets or between the web application across the servlets, then what you will do is request.set attribute of sum comma sum. So if you observe this request.set attribute of sum comma sum, you are storing over here, if you see, you are storing this, you are storing the value sum in the request scope. You have got various scope. What are we doing is we are storing sum at the request scope, or you can say we are sharing the value of sum at request scope. Are we clear so far? Hassan, can you just let me know where you are stuck? Okay, fine. Now over here what are we trying to do is a we have got a web page wherein you have to enter two numbers, number 1 and number 2. The number 1 and number 2 that are entered by the user, let's assume the user has entered number 1 as 2 and number 2 as 20. Number 1 and number 2 entered as the user, it is obvious when the client hits the submit button, this form parameters will be recorded in the request object. And then after you need not observe this code, number 1 and number 2. Now next, coming to this, after you have retrieved, you are calculating n1 plus n2. So that is 10 plus 20 is 30. Yes, this is the value sum. So actually what we want to do is we want to store the sum in the request. You want to store the value of sum in the request scope in the request object. So when you have to store the value of sum in the request scope, you have got set attribute method that will help you store the value from your servlets into the request scope. So in order to perform this operation, we are calling set attribute method on the request object. Whereas, okay, this request set attribute method that takes two parameters. One is key, the other one is value. So key is your sum and the value is 30. So this one. So this is key, this is the name and this is the value. So sum you're recording it as 30. Is it clear? Is it clear? Okay, to Hassan it is clear. Zahid, is it clear? What is sum? Integer sum is the key or value. Okay, over here sum is key and value is 30. Now, if I demystify this further, now over here you've got sum. This value will be stored over here. So your sum is this and value is 30. So this is called as value and this is called as key. This is your key. This is key, this is value. Yes, you can write someone. Key, it can be anything, it is user defined. Okay. Now, next, I actually like what I have done is this is your add servlet. So I have calculated the sum over here. So this servlet is only capable of doing the addition. Whenever we are writing the code or logic, we don't dump into a single servlet. Servlet 1 will perform some operation, whereas servlet 2 will perform some operation. So this has calculated this, the value of sum. Now what I want to do is I want to calculate the value, factorial value for 30. If I want to calculate the factorial value for 30, I will pass on this to other servlet. This is your factorial servlet. So this addition servlet is only capable of adding two numbers. But my job but my requirement is to calculate the factorial value. So whatever intermediate job, wherever it has been completed, I will pass on this to the another servlet. Request.set attribute, I'll pass on this to the another servlet. So from here, I want to pass on the control to the another servlet. So this is how I'm doing. So in order to transfer the control from one servlet to the another servlet, we have got request dispatcher. To this request dispatcher, you need to give the name of the servlet. I want to transfer this control to this servlet. So I'm giving the name of this servlet. Now, once I give the name to the servlet, I want to pass on rd.forward request comma response. So when you are passing the control from one servlet to the another servlet, it passes this request as well as response object. If you observe over here, it passes this objects as well, request as well as response. Are we clear so far? Now the control is with this servlet. This has lost focus and now the control is with this servlet. Are we clear on this? Or would you like me to explain it one more time? Over here you see, I want to transfer the control from this servlet to this servlet. So if I have to transfer the control from one servlet to the another servlet, you will take help of a class called requestDispatcher. This requestDispatcher have got a method called getRequestDispatcher. That is to which servlet you want to transfer. So if you're writing fact, it means you want to transfer this control to this servlet. It has to be factorial servlet. Now, then when you call rd.forward, as you see the name itself, forward stands for the control. When you're calling rd.forward of request comma response, it will pass on the control. Are you clear with this? Can I get a quick response? Yes, the name of the second servlet. Correct. The name of the second servlet class. Okay. Yeah. Yes. It has to be. You can write it factorial servlet because I did not have enough space over here. That is the reason I have written fact. You need to write factorial servlet. That block. Over here, Because I did not have space, that is the reason I have written fact. So it has to be done this way. So is it clear now? This one, the name of the second servlet. So now over here, again your request dispatcher, it will call the doGet method. Automatically it calls this doGet method. So what I have to do is I have to retrieve this value request.get attribute. If you want to store the attribute, then it is set attribute. If you have to retrieve the attribute, then it is get. So it will retrieve this attribute. You're converting it into the string, and then out.println of sum. Now when you say out.println, whatever you're writing, it will write this to the response object. It will write it to the response object. And once you are done, it will send this to the container. Container will send it to the server. Then it will send it to the client. So your response will first go to the container. Then it will go to this. Then it will send the response, whatever response you have. It will send it to this server and then finally to the client. Is it clear? Now, the same we will be writing the code. Zahid, is it clear to you? So I have created another project. Under web pages, first step is you need to create a form. Form action is equal to your first servlet is add servlet. If you don't specify anything, by default it is get. We'll learn about the other types later. Input type is equal to text, and then the name what you are giving to this one is number one. I can write placeholder. Break code. Let me copy and paste this. This one you need to change this as number 2, and then the placeholder is number 2, and then you require a button. Input type is equal to submit, and then value is equal to submit. Okay, once you have done this, you need to create a servlet by name add servlet. Click on the source package, right click servlet, add servlet. Package name I'm giving it as controller, and then click next. Don't forget to check this, add information to web.xml, and then finally you can click finish. So once you have clicked finish, delete all this stuff. Now you need to identify what are we using. Are you using doGet or doPost? That is, if I go to the form, I see that we are using do get. Now if you see over here, you're calling get method. So over here, you need to override do get method. You just type do get and delete this super. You should not call this. String number one is equal to request dot get parameter of number one, and then now over here what you have is when it is returning the values, whatever you type in the form fields, whatever we are typing in the form fields, whenever it is returning the value, it is always number. So you have to convert this to numbers. String 2 is equal to request dot get parameter of number 2. What is the difference between do get and do post? Okay, well, I did not explain that. We have to explain it. I'll be explaining you that shortly. Integer dot parse int number 2. So you have got this number 1 and in number 2. The return type of get parameter is always string. This one, the get parameter, the return type of get parameter method is always string. So that is, even if you're typing 200, it will return it as 200 this way. I hope you are familiar with parse int method. It will return it as 200. That is, it is returning it as string. So, but what you require is you just require number. So when you have to convert the string representation of the number to its numeric format, then what you do is you call this integer dot parse int of what is that string value 200. If you're passing this, it will return you its numeric. You're passing the number as a string, it will remove the quotes and it will return you the string value. Now after we have done this, you need to calculate the sum. Integer sum is equal to number 1 plus number 2, and then you have to store this in the request O. So request dot set attribute. The set attribute method that always take two arguments, one is key, other one is value. So key, I'm giving it as sum, and then this is the value what I am storing. Now then you need to pass on the control to the another servlet. For that, okay, you require help of requestDispatcher is equal to our request.getRequestDispatcher, and over here you need to pass the name of the second servlet, factorial servlet, and then rd.forward. This method or this forward method will actually pass on the control from one servlet to the another servlet. So you need to create another servlet by name factorial servlet. Click on the same package, new servlet. I'll paste this name, factorial servlet. I'm placing in the same package. And don't forget to select this, add information to web.xml, and finally you click this thing. Now I'm removing all this stuff. So over here again you will be overriding do get. Remove this super, you don't require this. Now if you see over here, you need to retrieve string sum is equal to request dot get attribute of So, and again, okay, you have to convert this sum to integer, because what you are retrieving is a string integer dot parse int of sum. And if I want to calculate the factorial value for this, integer fact is equal to 1 for integer I is equal to 1, I is less than or equal to fact or equal to s, and then I plus plus. And so what we have for factorial logic is factorial is equal to factorial star I. And then to send the response, you require this print writer. Out dot print factorial is equal to plus. We're done with this. Is this clear? Now, is the code clear? Okay, to Zahid it is clear. I don't have any clue about Roma and Hassan. Now 2 and then 3 you're typing. You click on submit. Number format exception for input string 2. Click run over here. So number 1 is 2, number 2 I'm just taking it as 3. 2 plus 3 is 5, 5 is 120. So till here, over here, first the request will hit this servlet. Sum is 5. So its job is only to calculate the sum. Then from here it will transfer the request to this. From here it will transfer the request. Sorry, this is your factorial servlet. Clear on this? So this is your add servlet. From here it will transfer the request to this servlet. Now, the reason we have to use integer.parseInt of sum is as we have discussed, now 1 minute, let me increase this font size. So what are you doing is string number is equal to request.getParameter of number. When you're doing this, even though you have entered the numeric value in the in the text box, it will return it as this way. It will return you in the string format. It will return you in the string format. That is within the double quotes it returns. This is how it returns. But when you're performing when you're performing addition, you don't perform it on strings. You perform arithmetic operations on numbers. So this should be converted. So what you want is this to be converted to this 200. So if you have to convert the string representation to the numeric format, then for that purpose you use integer.parseInt. So this method will help you do that. Directly it cannot be converted. It has to be converted with the help of this method. So what you do is you do integer.parseInt of number, because this 200 value is stored in this variable called number. That is the reason we are passing number. Is it clear, this one? The reason we are passing number is because this 200, it stores this value. Is it clear now? So rather we cannot pass 200. If you want, you can pass, but this value 200 is being stored in this number variable. That is the reason you are passing this. Is it clear now? Okay. So parseInt method is used for converting the string representation of the number to its numeric format. Get parameter method will always return string. Get parameter method will always return string. It will not return any other data type other than string. It always returns string. So you need to convert it to the appropriate data types to perform the operations. Now next, coming to Hassan's question, what is the difference between the get and the post? It is simple. I'll take help of this form parameter example. So you have to observe this URL. This is Tom, and this one is Tom at the rate 123. Now if you observe this URL, it is, let me copy this and paste it onto a notepad. Now HTTP localhost. The protocol what you're using is HTTP, and your server name is localhost, and it is running on the port number 8080, and your request is going to a web application by name form parameter. Is this clear? HTTP is the protocol. Protocol what you're using is HTTP, and the server name is localhost, and then the port is 8080, and web app name is form parameter. So this is the URL. So when you hit onto this, submit. Now let me again increase this. So if you see over here, user is equal to Tom and password is equal to Tom at the rate 123. Your form parameters are appended to the URL when you say get. This is your form parameters. So if you observe over here, and this is the login servlet, so your request is going to login servlet. So your request is going to your servlet name. To which component it is going is, it is going to a component by name login servlet. Now if you observe this, whatever comes after the question mark, these are called as form parameters or query parameters. Whatever comes after this question mark, these are called as form parameters or this one. So if you use the get method, if you're using method as get, then form parameters are appended to URL. This is what happens. Now, but this is not safe. This is not, it is not safe. Sending sensitive information through using get is not safe, because if you observe over here, your sensitive information, that is Tom and the username is Tom and the password is Tom at the rate 123, it is appended to the URL. If anyone can get access, if anyone can tap your URL, then they will come to know about your credentials, username and password. So this is not safe. So you should not use get method if you are sending any sensitive information. Then then what you will do? Then how do you send the information? So what you have is, you have got an alternate method called post. When you're using post, you need to change in the servlet also. So when you're using this, I go to the controller and in the login servlet, instead of do get, I need to, so over here you cannot use do get. If it is do get, sorry, if it is post, over here it should be post. Now let's see what happens. Same application we are running, it will perform the same functionality. What are we just changing is from get to post. Now username is Tom, password is again Tom at the rate 123. And when you click onto the submit button, you see over here, you just observe, you don't find the query form parameters appended to the URL. If you see over here, they are not appended. They go into the body. So they are not appended. Clear with this? So this is the difference. There are other differences also that we will cover in the later point in time, but at the initial stage, this is one of the difference. Get is safe, whereas safe is unsafe. You should not send any sensitive information using the post or using get method. You should always use post whenever you are sending information from client to the server, because in the get method, all your form data is appended to the URL, whereas in the post, it is not appended to the URL, it goes inside the request body. Are we clear on this? Okay, fine. There are other subtle differences between the get and the post that we will be discussing in the due course time. And our class timings, okay, we are starting at 8. Can we make it to 7:30? Is it okay if we start the class at 7:30? Yeah. If you are comfortable, then we can make it for all the days. So it is fine for Zahid and Hassan. How about Roma? Instead of 8, we will make it to 7:30. Roma, are you comfortable, or are you comfortable at 8 only? Okay, that's fine. I did not receive any response from Roma. Roma, can you just let me know your opinion? Is that okay? At 7:30, or you want it at 8 only? If you're comfortable, it is okay. Otherwise, we will start at 8. I think Roma has. Yeah, it is a regular class. Roma, I'm waiting for your response. I think Roma is not available. She has logged in and logged. I think window. We were discussing, I was planning to start the class half an hour early instead of 8 o'clock. Can we start at 7:30? Is it okay if we start the class at 7:30? Okay, fine. So all of you are comfortable if we start the class at 7:30. So from tomorrow onwards, we'll be starting at 7:30. We'll start the session at 7:30 tomorrow. Okay, cha. Bye bye. Please start practicing, and I'll be giving you a project work also. Parallelly, you can start working on that. Tomorrow, I'll be sharing the project document with you people. So that's all for the day. Bye bye. Okay, fine. I'll mail you the project details. I'll mail it to everyone.